Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matt from Matt's Bookshelf, and today I am discussing my reading goals of 2023. Before we get into the video, I just want to quickly shout out a video I did last, which is my best books of 2022, as well as an Instagram that I have. I haven't talked about that for a while, but I do have an Instagram, Matt's Bookshelf. I'll leave the link to that in the description below. And yes, let's get into the books and reading goals that I have for 2023. So first and foremost, this is a goal I've had for a while, but I do plan on fulfilling it in 2023. And that is reading more Western fiction and nonfiction, mainly in the American expansion out west. I recently read Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian. This is really the first Western novel that I've read in recent memory, and I want to read more, whether it be Cormac McCarthy. I'm very interested in reading Lonesome Dove as well as I think a book called Butcher's Crossing, which is a genre that's interested me because I'm interested with the time period and I love Western movies, but I just have not really dived into the literature yet, and it's something that I want to make up for. And I also say the same thing for the nonfiction side of that as well. I want to read more about General Custer. I want to read more about the eradication of the Plains Indians. I want to read Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Another book called Empire of the Summer Moon is another book I really want to read. It's been on my list since 2020 and I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I want to know more about this time period that, at least when I was growing up in elementary school, is very much brushed over and not really discussed in the horrific detail that what actually happened. And Blood Meridian, even though I thought the book had flaws, I think ignited that interest further for me that I think I'm actually going to tackle it in 2023. Another reading goal that I have is that I want to read more Russian literature in general. In 2021, I was pretty good with it to a certain extent as someone who didn't really know much about Russian literature at the time. I read both Crime and Punishment and by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I read I love the book, and I cannot think of its name right now. The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. And in 2022, I did not read any Russian literature. I completely slacked off in that regard, and it's disappointing because I appreciate Dostoevsky, and I loved Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, but I did not get around to reading any more of their books. And at the same time, I also want to read other Russian authors like Leo Tolstoy. And I'm hoping in 2023 that becomes a possibility. That's something that I achieve, at least with Bulgakov and Dostoevsky, because I want to read more of their stuff. But because I know War and Peace and Anna Karenina are such massive books, but I do want to get more into this culture of literature, because what I've read, even though I didn't love Crime and Punishment, but I did love Master and Margarita, those two books have continued to be on my mind since I read them a year ago for one and a year and a half ago for the other. And it just, obviously is a testament to how amazing these writers are, and it's just something that I need to get back on, hopefully in 2023. Speaking of cultures that produce great literature, I also want to read more Italian literature. I've done 2 books on Italian literature so far, and each time I've made a book, I've gotten wonderful recommendations for other literature from Italy from people who follow my channel. And I've written those down. I have a Microsoft Word document where I keep all my book recommendations from my audience, from you guys. And I've looked into some of the books that have been recommended to me, specifically in the Italian literature section, and they all are fascinating. And for some horrific reason, I've not gotten around to read them. And I want to correct that in 2023, because Italian literature, again, with Russian literature, every book that I've read from this culture has been phenomenal and has been on my mind since I've read them, but I just have not gotten around to reading other books from the culture. And as someone who's very connected to Italy and has been there and has descendants from Italy, it's something I need to correct in the future, hopefully in 2023. My third reading goal is that I want to read more Virginia Woolf. If you don't remember, in March 2021, I read The Lighthouse for the first time, and if you've watched my best books of 2022, you know that I think very, very highly of The Lighthouse. I think it's probably one of the best books I've read in my life. And for the rest of the year, I did not read any other Virginia Woolf. I know Alan Black has recommended to me The Waves, and I have checked that book out. That would probably be the next book I read by Virginia Woolf, but if I've watched a ton of Booktube channels, especially recently, because people are doing top 10 classics you must read videos of December. Virginia Woolf has pretty much been on all those lists in different books too. So everyone has a different favorite Virginia Woolf book, and she's a very prolific author, and it's just something that I need to get around to doing, because if it's even half as good, if her literature is even half as good as Lighthouse, it's still leagues better than most other books that I've read. And I think The Waves will be next, but if I'm at a bookstore and I see something else, I would probably pick that up and read it. But yeah, The Lighthouse was such an incredible book, and it's really weird that I haven't gotten around to reading her other stuff, considering how large an impact that one book has had on me. My second reading goal, and probably the most horrific reading goal for me, is to read Finnegans Wake by James Joyce. If you don't know, I have a whole Road to Ulysses series where I read all of James Joyce's works, except for his poetry, leading up to Ulysses, in which I did 3 videos on Ulysses, and then a 4th video for Bloomsday last year. And I own Finnegans Wake, and I own the Skeleton Key book to help me understand Finnegans Wake, and I've flirted with the idea of reading it a couple of times in the fall and in the winter this year, but it has never come to be. And I'm thinking 2023 will be the year that I at least attempt Finnegans Wake. I've read little sections of it, and I'm tempted to do a series on it, but I don't want to make promises I can't keep, because I don't know if I'll even finish it or if I'll have anything to say. People say Ulysses was unintelligible, but I didn't really have that vibe. I feel like there's a ton that went over my head on a first reading, but I feel like I could have at least understood the story. And I think it helped me because I read a lot of Joyce's stuff prior to it, and like I have taken courses on Irish history, and I've lived in Dublin, so a lot of stuff contributed to it. But Finnegans Wake is like a whole different beast, and it scares me. But again, I have the Skeleton Key book to help me, but I don't want the videos I make on it to just be like me regurgitating the opinions and thoughts of the Skeleton Key book. I kind of want to figure it out for myself as well, and use that as like a companion piece, or just as an assist. But we'll see. I don't know. Even when I'm saying it out loud, I don't even know if I want to read it. It just looks so difficult. But whatever, I'll probably at least indulge in it for a while this year, in 2023. And my number one reading goal for 2023 is to read Thomas Pynchon. I have neglected this for 2 years now. At the very least, I want to read V and Gravity's Rainbow this year. V first, and then Gravity's Rainbow after, is my plan. But he's probably the greatest living author in Western literature right now, and I really need to get around to reading his stuff. It's so tempting to read, and like the cover thing is what I'm fascinated in, and it's in stream of consciousness writing style, which I love. And for whatever reason, I haven't gotten around to it. And I've seen V at bookstores. I didn't pick it up, and I own Gravity's Rainbow, and I'm not gonna read that first. That's not gonna be the first Pynchon book that I read. And then if I love those books, I can easily see myself reading a third Pynchon book this year, in 2023. But I gotta read those 2 first, and I have to find the motivation to read them. Maybe they won't be as difficult as I think they're going to be, but we'll see. And yeah, so that is the conclusion to my reading goals video. Let me know what your reading goals are of next year. Let me know if you have similar reading goals as I have, or if you've read the books that I want to read or in the genres that I want to read and have recommendations. I'm all ears for them. As I said, I have a Microsoft document for all the book recommendations that I get from you guys. So yeah, thank you for making it this far. And again, please check out my Best Book of 2022 video if you haven't already, as well as check my Instagram, which I'll probably, that's another reading goal, is I want to post more on that account, because sometimes I neglect it, or I just have really bad pictures. I don't really understand like taking pictures of books. That's another rant for another day. But yeah, so, and then check out my friends Johnstone Colors Wonderland. Maybe we'll make videos at some point. I don't know. I'm the only one left. It's just me. So I'm sorry about that. Much apologies. And yeah, thank you and goodbye.